Hello and welcome to the Print Softcover, our online venue where we launch non-fiction books. My name is Prasanna, and today we have a very special guest with us, poet and writer Meera Ganapathi. She's the founder and editor of digital literary publication The Soup. She has also written several books for children, such as The Girl Who Could Not Stop Laughing, Uma versus Upma, and Pati versus Uncle. And today, we're going to talk about her latest book, How to Forget, which has a beautiful cover, I must say. The book has been published by HarperCollins India, and it's the first one I've come across where a book can paint a place and its people through the act of walking. It moves the reader through poetry, through prose, and even photography. And I'm very eager to begin this conversation. So, welcome to the print, Meera.
Hi, Prasanna. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Um, Mira, this is a book about short steps and long walks, as it says on the cover. What does a walk mean to you? What does it represent?
Actually, now it's come to represent so many things. When I just started the book, I used to feel like walking is a way out of, like a way to clear my head. But as I began writing the book, I've started to feel like it's so much more than just an act of going from one place to the other, because you carry so much with you. Either your mind is full, or you're processing something, or it just like kind of defines your state of mind. It defines where you are. So walk has actually come to mean something that chronicles my life, which sounds like a very heavy statement, but it is, the way you walk reflects the place in life that you're at, which is what this book also is about. It's kind of going into those details of how our walks define us. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've even said that this book, in fact, is a walk.
Yes.
So, I'd also like to ask, how did you go about turning a walk into a poem? Or would you say that you see a walk as its own kind of poem?
I actually do see a walk as a kind of poem. I mean, the nice thing about poetry is that you can just kind of, turn any moment or any situation into something lyrical, if you're in that state of mind, of course. But a walk, particularly because you see so much along the way that it's hard not to be inspired. It's hard not to be moved. Of course, depending on where you walk, it's also easy to feel rage and irritation, especially if you're in and around dug up Bandra perhaps, and you're walking and it's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
terrible. But yeah, like I think the act of walking can lead to a poem quite naturally and quite easily, and a lot of writers have in fact used a walk, to start off with a poem. And the interesting thing about it is it starts where you're at mentally, and the place where it ends at is dependent on the things that you see. So it literally mentally leads you away or leads you towards something.
Yeah. And I also see it as a place in betweens, like it can be an escape. It can
Yeah.
also, it's a pause on life.
It is a pause from your mind, at least. Like, it can also be a way to really get into what's in your head. But essentially, I think it's a way to kind of break away from whatever patterns you were in and focus on other things outside of yourself. It's maybe something like an unselfish act in some ways, that you're paying attention to other things. It's a less self involved act to focus on uh, things around you rather than just yourself, and maybe also put yourself in context of the world and see where you are and how important is that thing that's weighing on you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it is very important. I came across an article you've written for Vogue India, which
Yeah.
talks about the act of walking as political, as important. The
Yes.
city is losing. What happens when the city takes away spaces where one can walk?
Yeah.
Uh, in that context, what what did walking in Mumbai? You said it's rage. It can be many things. Uh, But what has it meant for you now that you live in Goa?
Yeah. The thing is, I used to actually not feel much for Bombay until I walked, because it's easy to get very carried away in your, I'm getting from one place to the next, I'm late for something, or this crowd and chaos is getting to me. But only when you walk, you, I think, empathize with the city, and you kind of notice the people who are in it, in all these different corners, who, you may not have paid attention to. And even small things, like today I was reading something about manholes, or drain covers in
Hmm.
Bombay, which are, like they go back to another country, and they've been designed by, with so much precision and care, and we would not even notice something like that. Like, you just assume that the city has dirt and unspeakable stuff on the streets, but actually there's so much beauty also to be found. And of course there's a lot of uh, you know painful things. And I think it basically makes you empathize with the city. It makes you feel like you belong. I think that's the best way to belong to a place, is actually to walk through it and to feel it, and to become a part of it. So
Yeah.
with Bombay, I feel that very strongly. And in fact, when I go back, every time I go back, I'm like consumed by the energy of Bombay, and I get excited for those 3 4 days when I'm there. And I look forward to walking. And unfortunately, because it's so dug up right now, I feel actually sad because half the things that I used to love are beginning to go. And I can't stand and watch and stare and do all of those things which I used to.
One thing I noticed was that the book is called How to Forget,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is in details that are painstakingly remembered.
Yes.
So, why this choice?
So actually, the title was an interesting thing, because I was initially I wanted to go with Rosa Finds a Leaf.
Yes.
Okay, and I thought that would be that was one of the options, and another was Rabbit Chew.
Hmm.
And I thought, does it really define the book? I'm not sure. But How to Forget is in that interesting place about memory. It's about forgetting, but it's also about, I'm unable to forget, carrying the weight of that memory. So it could sort of, be in both places, that painstakingly remember details because I am not able to forget, and about, I wish I could forget, and at the same time, I do not want to forget. So it's a little bit of a, I think like memory is the thread that ties all of it together.
There's one piece of writing in the book which is about um, reels versus walks, as in, are reels a better way of making friends than walks? And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, beautiful incident because it talks about sort of loneliness as an adult. It talks about how difficult friendships become as you age. Would you
Yeah.
like to tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole thing, I was reading about this, this act of sending people memes and reels and so on, and it's called pebbling, which is apparently a form of care, which
Yeah.
is, yeah, which is so sweet, I thought, because every time I send my friend something, I think about them, and I think, will this person like this? And of course, this person will find it funny, because not everyone finds the same things funny, but they are your friends because they must have found some similarities, and that's why you have a relationship together. And now the relationship is built on the things you're sending each other, which is kind of sad in a way because you're not actually talking. But at the same time, it's a very interesting understanding of the other person. Like, you know what they like, and you're consistently trying to entertain them, humor them, and connect with them on the same things, which is what essentially a conversation or meeting a person is about as well. But because of the kind of time we live in, we are so
Yeah.
like insular into our phones, and I think we're losing that thread of conversation. But is it really a bad thing? Because we're also finding new ways to talk. I think maybe too much is being made of, oh God, I haven't, I'm only sending reels, like 50 reels to my friend, and she's sending me 50 reels back, and there is no
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
We haven't spoken, we have emoted in emojis literally, and there is no back and forth, but there is. And sometimes one of the reels will, like between me and my friends, at least one of them will make us stop and talk. and a discussion will happen, and so that does happen. So my point of that essay was that as you get into your 30s or your late 30s, actually, you become very finicky about how you spend your time. You're not willing to waste any, um, especially in Goa. I think it happens more because whoever you're going to meet is probably like 20 minutes away or something, and you have to make that effort to get out of your house, and
Yeah.
somehow it's very easy to just chill in your house.
In the context of women walking,
Yeah.
the act of walking, which is otherwise meditative, otherwise it's rejuvenative. Here it becomes dangerous, and I
Hmm.
think you address that in several poems.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's specific to Mumbai, or is walking as a woman, is it always fraught with risk?
Actually, Bombay is the one place where I feel very safe walking alone. Obviously, after a certain time in the night, it's not that safe. But by and large, it's one of the safest cities in India. Like, as a woman, you can constantly go wherever you like without the threat or danger of course, many incidents have happened in Bombay as well. But by and large, it's a much more easy city to live in as a woman. You have far more independence. Um, but otherwise, walking alone is, as a woman, is actually, it's such a sad thing, but you are deprived of a very basic kind of freedom, uh, which is like, as a man, you might not even consider it, but as a woman you have to think about what you're wearing, how you're walking, whether you're making eye contact with someone who's just like staring at you, and what kind of invitation are you giving them or not. You have to be constantly vigilant. You have to time yourself around crowded places
Yeah.
and um daytimes rather than night. So there is so much to consider, and that's why I think it keeps coming up, because we are all like, as young girls, you walk to school and you
Yeah.
face all kinds of traumatic situations. Everyone I know has, everyone, without exception.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves a mark on you, and I couldn't not address that because uh, it wouldn't be true to anything then.
Yes, it was a very moving poem where um, women say that they walk towards a source of light or towards crowds.
Yeah,
What walking means. One of them says Mumbai is very safe for women. All of
yeah.
those voices, I think, yeah, it was. It's one of the poems that stays with you.
Yeah, and
And
interestingly, sorry, the thing that is most sad and tragic is that most of the women who are walking, they are kind of walking to get away from their daily routine. They are walking for
yeah,
themselves, and yet they cannot walk alone. So
yeah,
there was a story we did on Soup, which is about women exercising in public places and how they feel. And what came out from that, one of these things really stood out to me. A friend's mother used to go on a walk because she wanted to be by herself. This was in, I think, Ahmednagar. And people would go on asking her, Are, why are you going alone? Is everything okay? And her whole point was, I want to be alone, you know?
yeah,
And yet there is no, it's so strange that people think something is wrong with you. Are you mentally okay? Why would you choose to do
yeah.
that? So, so yeah,
Especially for women, uh, being alone
yeah,
becomes difficult in a house. Yes.
yeah,
Uh, One thing I'd like to say is I was amazed by the number of stories that you tell simply through
yeah.
the act of walking. I could not have imagined that this one act uh, can carry so many meanings, themes. Where did the process begin for you?
Yeah, so initially when I uh, pitched the book to Harper, it was meant to be a very simple guide, kind of like a hopeful sort of thing about walking. But as then I was confronted with, the enormity of material on the subject of walking. It's like almost a favorite subject of so many writers, even a filmmaker. I think Herzog has also written a book on walking. So it's like a very it's such a densely opinionated topic that I was left with the thought that what can I say that hasn't been said, and how do I say it? So either I can get into research and talk about places and paths and so on, or I can simply come from what how it affected me and what I have to say about my own experiences. So I began to sort of focus on that. And then it came to me that your own life is actually a series of walks. And if you can document your life in those walks
Yeah.
through your own experiences and through others' experiences, that could be something, you know.
Meera, it was lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.